Okay, so who hasn't dreamed of having superpowers, right? We all think about the awesome stuff, flying, super strength, you name it. But what if, and this is a big what if getting those powers meant you had to pass a final exam first? Like a super intense series of challenges you had to nail before you could even start. Well, that's the hidden rule book we're cracking open today. Yeah, just think about that for a second. Everything you've ever wanted. We're talking incredible powers, even a ticket to paradise. It all comes down to one single cosmic test. And get this, it's got nothing to do with how strong you are physically. It's about something way, way deeper. And you can forget about your typical school exam. This is a total deep dive into your soul's, well, everything. It measures your strengths for sure, but it also puts all your perversions, distortions, and foolish momenta under a microscope. And the very first step, you've got to master your own mind and learn to dodge the traps of fantasy and obsession. I mean, talk about a high bar to clear, right? Okay, so not everyone is a fan of this whole system. Enter Evan. He's a young soul student, and when he looks at these rules, he sees a huge, glaring problem. For him, the whole game just feels totally rigged from the get-go. And you can really feel his frustration here, can't you? I mean, Evan's looking at the quote-unquote bad guys, these tempters, and they're just operating with zero rules. Meanwhile, he and the other students are all tangled up in these endless restrictions. It just feels completely backward, maybe even dangerous. And his question is really simple. How come the tempters don't have to play by the same rules? But then his dad just completely flips the script. He says, look, it's not about rules, it's about currency. So check this out. Soul students, they basically prepay for their power. They earn it, right? They prove they're worthy of this pure, Holy Spirit power. But the tempters? Oh no. They're on a totally different plan. They're running on corrupted energy, basically on credit. And they're racking up this huge debt that they have zero intention of ever paying back. And then, boom, it just clicks for Evan. He comes up with this perfect modern analogy. He says, it's like I have to carefully save up every single dollar, while the wicked are just out there swiping credit cards, running up a debt they think someone else will pay. But here's the thing about a system like that. It's designed to collapse. And this is the really chilling part. The tempters, they know they're doomed. Their only goal is to just drag as many other souls down with them as they can. So that brings us to this really crucial point, a total plot twist from Dad. You have to wonder, right? Why doesn't the creator just shut the tempters down? Well, here's why. Because their power isn't actually their own. It comes from us. The creator is literally waiting for the soul students to stop feeding the very system that gives the tempters all their power in the first place. And look, this isn't some big, abstract, cosmic battle happening out in space somewhere. No, it all boils down to our everyday choices. Dad's whole point is that if people just stopped buying from them, these massive companies selling alcohol, cigarettes, junk food, they'd collapse. If we all stopped watching, those horror movies wouldn't get made. So every single choice we make, it either fuels or it starves the tempter's power structure. So all of this builds up to the next really crucial phase of their training. It's this realization that the real fight, it isn't against some tempter out there. Nope, it's with the demons that we create inside our own selves. And Dad's advice here is crystal clear. Before you even think about fighting anyone else, you've got to clean your own house. Because if you try to wield mystic power when your own life is a chaotic mess, guess what? That power is just going to create more chaos. And even worse, if you let an uncontrolled ego misuse these gifts, they'll get taken away, just like that. So what are these self-made demons we're talking about? Well, they're the things we all struggle with, right? Our bad habits, that out-of-control ego, our addiction to those sensational highs, and maybe the biggest one, our blind beliefs. You know, the stuff we just accept without question that ends up leading us down the wrong path. So Evan, being Evan, he's always trying to find a solution. And he proposes something pretty radical, an instant karma button. He literally wants this karmic board to drop a smite hammer the second somebody messes up. He's thinking, hey, people would learn really fast if there was immediate payback. But then his dad comes back with a tough question. What about the innocent people? The ones who get easily conned? Do they deserve to be instantly punished too? Oof, it really makes you think, doesn't it? Okay, and this leads us to what might just be the single hardest requirement for getting these powers. It is the ultimate test of focus. It's about making a choice. Do you embrace reality with all of its flaws? Or do you hide in the super seductive comfort of fantasy? And this right here just lays it out perfectly, the two paths your mind can take. On one side, you've got wise visualization. This is when you use your imagination creatively. You rehearse success, you build foresight. It's focused, it's purposeful. And on the other side, you have uncontrolled fantasy. And that stuff is just chaotic, it drains your energy, and worst of all, it totally fogs up your clarity, filling your mind with nothing but mental static. And Evan's reaction here, it's just so painfully real. You can feel it. This is his last escape, you know? It's his mental playground where there are no rules, no consequences. And giving that up, it feels like he's giving up the last bit of freedom he has. It's that classic struggle between the discipline you need for growth and that simple human desire to just have some fun. But here's the catch Dad lays out. That mental fun, it isn't free. Every single time you indulge, every little fantasy, every time you replay a movie in your head, it doesn't just vanish. It actually bounces around in your mind like a pinball, just creating all this mental noise that fogs your clarity. It literally makes it impossible to see the world as it really is. And that brings us to the final, ultimate choice. Because it's not just about what you think anymore, it's about what you feel. It all comes down to a choice between two totally different ways of experiencing power and pleasure. So, on the one hand, you've got what are called electrochemical sensations. Think about those intense, spiky human emotions, that flash of anger, that jolt of greed. Yeah, they feel super powerful in the moment, but they're temporary, and at the end of the day, they just drain you. The alternative? Divine, virtuous feelings. These don't spike up and crash down. They radiate. They are those earned, lasting feelings of real attainment that actually align you with your higher purpose. Okay, so the big question is, how do you actually get from one side to the other? Well, Dad lays out a pretty clear path. Step 1, purge all the distractions. Get them out of there. Then you learn to sense everything, both the perfection and the imperfection. You can't just ignore reality. And from there, you start to learn how to use your mystic energy centers, your chakras, to project that Holy Spirit fire, to radiate those divine thoughts and feelings that are aligned with your true self. And really, this is the bottom line. This is the whole thing. It is the most difficult, but also the most rewarding challenge. Getting to that true power requires total 100% commitment. Because every time you indulge in some mindless fantasy, every time you choose that temporary sensation over real attainment, you're taking one step forward and 2 steps back. You'll just never reach the mountaintop that way. So, when you boil it all down, the entire journey comes down to this one question. The test is focus. It's about sacrificing those easy, fleeting pleasures of fantasy for the hard-won clarity and purpose of reality. The prize is power. But the cost, well, the cost is everything that's currently holding you back. So the question for you is, which one will you choose?